What is going on, guys? It's Triple G here, back with another Borderlands 3 video, and today we're going to be going through a full review of Psycho Krieg and the Fantastic FusterCluck, or DLC4 as you might know it as. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel or join us over on Twitch. We stream 5 times a week, and otherwise, let's get straight into the video. So just a warning, guys, this will contain footage that you may not have seen yet if you haven't played DLC4, so if you do not want to look at it, please look away now. Otherwise, let's get straight into it. So starting off with how the aesthetics of the DLC look, the aesthetics look absolutely fantastic. You can tell that the game developers have taken the time here to just make Krieg's mind as insane and crazy as possible. One of the things I particularly do like, in addition to the blood and guts that you see on some of the other levels, is the subtle touches in the backgrounds. There are huge figurines of people getting their head blown off. There's just random traffic cones, that kind of thing, just sprinkled around the map, and really do add that sense of wackiness to this DLC. Aesthetic wise, it is absolutely on the money, and in particular there was one image that I saw in one of the later missions where Krieg is in the background, and if you don't mind, it's actually, I used it for the thumbnail here. It's absolutely incredible. One of the best visuals I've seen in Borderlands ever. It was just absolutely brilliant. In terms of the story itself, the story is really strong in this game. Those of you that have played Borderlands before or are invested in Krieg's story will know that Krieg has a particular fondness with Maya, and the fans of the Borderlands series have been really happy to see how that could potentially develop. Unfortunately for Krieg, Maya does meet her demise in Borderlands 3, so that will never actually come to fruition. But we do see here how Krieg not only deals with those emotions towards Maya, but also deals with the grief, as well as some backstory into how Krieg actually became Krieg. What was particularly interesting here is you have both the insane and the sane versions, and sometimes the sane version of Krieg will say, what have you done with this memory, this kind of thing, as you dive through. But all in all, the story is very strong. The returning characters add to it, and there's a lovely movie reference theme to some of the later parts of the missions, which I really did enjoy. In terms of the actual amount of time in the game, the amount of story missions and the amount of side missions, I'm going to say I am a little bit disappointed that we didn't get more. The story lasts anywhere between 5 and maybe 6 hours, but the side missions are really where I felt a little bit let down. Most of the side missions are just very short, 1 or 2 interactions. There is only 1 or 2 side missions that really do, you know, our traditional side missions where you actually have to fight a few enemies or collect a few things, that kind of thing. A lot of these side missions were literally just, for example, there was one where I had to douse the flames of an enemy and then reset them on fire, and that was it. And I was kind of like, oh, you know, so the side missions themselves, I think, could have been a little bit stronger. That being said, the actual challenges of shooting these little orbs that come out in a certain amount of time to reveal a bit of a sentence through Krieg's mind. Both they were interesting in terms of challenges and quite humorous in terms of what they actually said. When it comes to loot, unfortunately, the loot wasn't quite up to the standard which I would have expected, particularly when we followed on from DLC3. DLC3 had about 20 to 25 legendaries. This particular DLC seems to have a lot less than that. And in addition to that, at the time when I wrote this review or recorded this review, all of the weapons and comms were actually dropping from each other. Even though they had dedicated sources, you could still get a weapon from each one of those named bosses. That becomes an issue when you want to target farm, and of course it will crowd those loot pools as well. So unfortunately, I think the loot needs some work. I do think they will probably change this given the absolute love that was for DLC 3, and I would highly recommend they do that. In terms of the weapons themselves, there's some really interesting weapons, including a very strong torque pistol, which I will link a description below. It is fantastic, and I think this is Borderlands 3's answer to what they herald should have been. It is really good. And there's there are 4 new class mods for the Vault Hunters as well. The Sirens in particular stands out, but Zane might also have a class mod that actually does compete with the Seeing Dead. So all in all, guys, taking all things into consideration, being that we have a very, very strong aesthetic build when it comes to this DLC. On top of that, we have a very, very strong story. Unfortunately for me, the side missions and the loot kind of let it down a little bit, but I do think the loot can be A, improved, and B, distributed into a way that was really, really good in DLC 3. So I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 as my review. Like I said, not quite there in terms of the loot, but given how gut-wrenchingly good the story is at times, I really did enjoy it. So that's it for today's video, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel or joining me over on Twitch. I stream on both the Borderlands channel and my personal channel, and otherwise I'll catch you on the flip.